Good day, we are the Group 5 and we are going to present the Chapter 5, Raid. Introduction. What is raid? Raid is a surprise invasion of a building or target place. It's a special operation that covers the small-scale attack of certain turf or hideout of a criminal. So, ang raid po, I guess lahat naman po tayo ay familiar po dito. Isa po siyang surprise invasion po or unexpected visit po ng police officers or any law enforcement officers po para in a purpose po na i-arrest po ang isang suspect or isang target. Legal basis of raid operation. Raid operation must have a lawful basis and conduct in legal manner. This could be in the form of implementation of search warrant or execution of warrant of arrest or in pursuit of a suspected person believed to be guilty of a crime that has just been committed. Yung pagsagawa po ng raid operation, kailangan po talaga ay may isa siyang legal, meron po siyang legal na basehan. Kasi kapag naging unlawful or invalid arrest yung nangyari, it may have a variety of important legal consequences po. For example po, it is generally recognized that a search of the person arrested and of the immediate premises is valid when incident to a lawful arrest po. But if arrest po is unlawful, the search is also invalid po. It can be barred from the criminal proceedings po. In other words po, yung raid operation po, kapag sinagawa po siya ng sa pamamagitan po ng unlawful basis po, or yung halimbawa po, hindi po nagkaroon ng search warrant, or wala naman pong warrant of arrest, or hindi naman po talaga, or wala pong papatunay na ginawa po ng isang suspect yung isang bagay, pero inaresto po ng mga officers, ay magiging unlawful po siya at hindi po magiging effective. Objective of raids. First, effect the arrest. So, gaya nga po ng sabi ko dun sa second slide, which is yung legal basis of raid operation, kailangan po mag-execute ng search of warrant or warrant of arrest po para maging lawful at maging effective po ang arrest. So, next, procure evidence in flagrante delicto through surprise attack. So, what is in flagrante delicto nga po? Ito po yung caught in the act po, or yung nakita or nahuli mo mismo sa akto po. Kailangan po natin mag-procure or mag-obtain po ng evidence gamit sa pamamagitan nga po ng surprise attack. Then, last is recover stolen property, or bawiin po yung nakuha na isang bagay. Factors affecting success or effectiveness of a raid. First, size of raiding team. Kailangan pong alamin kung ilang members ang pupunta po sa isang operation. Kasi mas makakalculate po nila kung paano po yung magiging galaw or yung plano po ng isang raid operation. Next is the swiftness or yung kabilisan, which is important po talaga. Third is the surprise. For me po, yung factor na swiftness or surprise ay pinaka-important po para sa akin. Kasi dito po nakasalalay yung result po na magiging raid operation. Next is the simplicity of the plan and operation. With a simple plan po and operation, mas less po yung magiging result na fail po yun. And for me po, wala pong madadamay na mga civilians po. And last is the armed superiority.
So we have here the qualification of a raid or raiding team members. The first one is a leadership ability, good judgment, tactfulness, coolness and stability, experience, steady nerves and mental stability, and the last one, discipline. Okay po, so next we have here a composition of a raiding team. The first one is team leader, assistant team leader, forwarder, and perimeter security of the raiding team. Giving in or giving detail on entering party, in charge of raiding vehicle, Next is recorder, who should keep an accurate log of the raid, gather evidence, make inventories, and testify in court. And the last one, video and photographer. So, in a police raid, law enforcement officers commonly collect substantial evidence from the site. The warrant can include a specific mandate to collect particular things like computer hard drives, and police may interpret the warrant as liberally as possible so they can collect anything that may be related to criminal activity. The police can have warrants for the arrest of some of the people in the building and also have the power to arrest people who interfere with the raid in some way. Vehicles to safely transport evidence and suspects are a necessary part of the raid. Next, duties of perimeter security. First is cover the approach of entering party, prevent the escape of criminals, cover the entire area of operation, lastly neutralizes the barricade made by the criminals. Duties of entering party. First, call for surrender. Next, effect the arrest and extricate criminal in safer area. Police usually must take precautions to protect health and safety when they conduct a police raid. This can start with cordoning off the area to keep bystanders out and approaching the door to ask people to surrender to police before taking more aggressive action like using flashbang grenades to temporarily incapacitate people. The police need to quickly secure the area once they enter to protect their safety as well as that of the surrounding community.
Undertaking the successful raid entails the following elements. So sa pagsalakay, may mga elemento tayo na kinakailangan at kailangan nating isagawa para magkaroon ng maayos at matagumpay na pagsalakay. Tulad ng mission, reconnaissance, plan, instruction, order, and execution. Una ay ang mission. Ito yung mission na may tiyak na layunin at itinuturing din itong isa sa napakahalagang tungkulin. Next ay ang reconnaissance. Ito ay isang active mission na may kinalaman sa enemy, terrain, and weather. Hinahanap nito ang posisyon, hadlang at ruta ng kaaway. At ang pagpapadala ng advance party para suriin ang lugar. May 3 types ang reconnaissance: route recon, zone recon, and area recon. Next ay ang plan. Ang pagpaplano ay isinasagawa para makamit ang isang bagay. Ito ay detalyadong proposal para sa pagsalakay. Next, instructions. From the word itself, instructions, ito yung mga detalyadong impormasyon na nagsasabi kung paano dapat gawin, patakbuhin, o tipunin ang isang bagay. Next ay ang order. Ito yung pagsasaayos o pagbibigay ng mga tao o bagay na may kaugnay sa isa't isa. Alinsunod sa isang specific na pagkakasunod-sunod, pattern, or method. And next, execution. Ito naman yung pagpapatupad o pagsasagawa ng mga utos ng plano o paraan ng pagkilos. Next ay ang planning the raid. Ang successful na raid ay nakasalalay sa paghahanda sa pagpaplano at tamang pagpapatupad ng raid to attain the needed element of surprise of the operations, at dapat itong isagawa ng lihim at sa mabilis na paraan. So, paano nga ba magiging successful ang raid? First, carry out surveillance and casing. Second, in order to obtain the necessary data for planning and reconnaissance, surveillance or casing of the place subject for raid operation. Third, All the involved personnel in operation should be properly informed about the nature and objectives of the mission. Dapat may wastong kaalaman tungkol sa katangian at layunin ng mission. 4. The scientific detail and deployment position of every member of the raiding team must be properly identified, as well as the tactics, armament, and the transportation needed in the operation. Next is the things to consider in planning a raid. Ano nga ba yung mga dapat isaalang-alang sa pagpaplano ng raid? First, carry out surveillance and casing. Second, identify if the targets for operation are armed, what armament they have. Third, photographs of the descriptions of the subject and their hideout available for use in briefing. Fourth, determine the place and structure of the target law violator. Fifth, determine the possible route of escape. Sixth, type of neighborhood. 7, activities in the neighborhood.
Consideration in the conduct of police raid. Speed into the deployed position and its execution of the plan and objectives. Ito ay ang nakatalagang posisyon at sa pagpapatupad ng plano at mga layunin sa gawaing operasyon. Surprise in catching the target personalities unprepared. Ito naman ay ang paghuli sa mga target na personalidad na hindi handa or walang paghahanda na ginawa upang arestuhin ang mga ito. Simplicity or modest of the plan and scheme is easy to remember and understand to avoid misperception during the actual implementation of police raid. Upang ang plano at scheme ay madaling tandaan at maunawaan upang maiwasan ang maling pananaw sa panahon ng aktwal na pagpapatupad ng pagsalakay ng pulisya. Vision of the operating team. Cover group immediately. Move into position first and cover the possible escape route of the target, while the raiding group should disarm and restrain the suspect as well as researches the premises and secure evidence in the area. Ito naman po ay kailangan agad na lumipat sa pwesto ang grupo na sakop at takpan ang posibleng rutang pagtakas ng target, habang ang grupong sumasalakay ay dapat magdisarma at pigilan ang suspect, pati na rin ang paghahanap sa lugar at i-secure ang ebidensya sa mismong lugar kung saan nangyari ang operasyon. Raid operation, coordination effort of all the team is important factor in the success of the raid. Number 2, the raid team should act as a team. Number 3, the members should truly understand the objectives of the operation. Number 4, all members should place in their designated position. Number 5, conduct briefing prior the operation. Number 6, conduct briefing after the operation for critics. Number 7, if the operation is outside jurisdiction, coordination with local police is must as part of standard and protocols in the said operation. Don'ts in a raid. Don't take unnecessary chances. Dapat sa mga ganitong sitwasyon katulad ng raid ay dapat may konkretong galaw o plano. Don't underestimate the target. Dahil sa mga ganitong sitwasyon, hindi natin masasabi ang mga pwedeng pang mangyari, Kaya kinakailangan natin maging handa sa lahat ng pagkakataon. Don't pursue the operation if not prepared. Upang maiwasan ang anumang aberya dito dahil mahalaga ang pagiging handa sa tuwing nagsasagawa ng raid. Don't endanger the lives of the team member by standards and people in the area. Kaya mahalaga dito ang may safety protocol sa pagsasagawa ng isang raid.
These are the basic requirements in the conduct of raid. Number 1, with a marked police vehicle. Number 2, led by a police commissioned officer or PCO. Number 3, with personal and prescribed police uniform or attire. Number 4, use of megaphones and similar instruments. And number 5, warning shots prohibited from Rule 6 Revised PNP Operational Procedure Manual 2013. Use of reasonable force during the police operation. Number 1, use of excessive force prohibited. The excessive use of force during police operation is prohibited. However, in the lawful performance of duty, a police officer may use necessary force to accomplish his mandated task of enforcing the law and maintaining peace and order. Number 2, issuance of verbal warning. The police officer must first issue a verbal warning before he could use force against an offender. As far as practicable, the verbal warning shall be in the dialect that is known to the offender or in the national language. Basically, the verbal warning shall consist of the following: the police officer identifying himself, his intention, and what he wants the offender to do. If the offender is a foreigner, the verbal warning shall be done in the English language, followed by a demonstrative act of the police officer's intent. The verbal warning shall be done in a loud and clear manner. Number 3, non-issuance of verbal warning when excusable. The failure to issue a verbal warning is excusable in cases where threat to life or property is already imminent, and there is no other option but to use force to subdue the offender. Number 4, use of non-lethal weapon. The rationale for less lethal weapon is not only to effectively replace firearms but also to reduce the number of injuries inflicted during other instances of use of force by law enforcement. Number 5, application of necessary and reasonable force. The principle of necessity has 3 interrelated elements. The duty to use non-violent means wherever possible, the duty to use force only for a legitimate law enforcement purpose, and the duty to use only the minimum necessary force that is reasonable in the prevailing circumstances. Number 6, factors to consider in the reasonableness of the force employed. And last, number 7, responsibility of the police officer in charge of the operation. Things to be done after a raid where an armed confrontation ensued. The officer who is in charge of the operation shall secure the site of confrontation, take photographs, check whether the situation still poses imminent danger, evacuate the wounded to the nearest hospital, ensure that all persons who died on the spot are not moved from their original position, arrested suspects should be kept in isolation, conduct debriefing on all involved PNP operatives, submit after operations report, and last, ensure psychological stress counseling for all involved PNP operatives from Rule 8 Revised PNP Operational Procedure Manual 2013.